Hi class, welcome to another tutorial on CS384. So first of all, congratulations to all of you. 69 repos were made and many of them actually had committed the first calculator program. So I hope you got a little bit of idea about Git. Again, we will see a small tutorial on Git in this lecture also, and I have added 4 more functions that you need to implement, right? So we look them at one by one. So as you know, skeleton is the folder that you will have in the entire semester where I will be putting in the base program on which you have to modify, right? So let me first go to CS384 2020 in the skeleton directory, right? So always it's a very good practice in Git that you first pull the directory from the Git repositories, right? So for example, when you are collaborating on a project, you should always have the updated copy of the repository, right? Obviously, I am the collaborator. I have not done any changes, but still make it a point that you always Git pull whenever you start working on something. It's a very good habit, right? When you are becoming professionals and multiple people are working, Git pull always helps. So now let me show you. I actually already made some changes here, right? So you will, when I see Git status, it will show you that, okay, modified 2 files, right? So let me show you what modifications I have done. In the tutorial one part, what I'm doing is like, now you need to implement few more functions, right? Till division of everybody has done. Now I have added 4 functions: power, print GP, which is basically the geometric progression. So given the first term, the common ratio and n terms, you need to print basically n terms based on a and r. You cannot use any inbuilt function tonight. You have to write your own GP function. Similarly for printing AP and printing harmonic progression. Also you have the power function where number 1 and number 2 are given. So you have to raise number 1 raised to number 2 should be the return value. Again, you cannot use the inbuilt function x star star y. You have to write your own function. So this function basically requires that you need to commit your program 4 times. So first write the power function, commit, give a nice commit statement, write the GP function, commit, give a nice commit statement, give the AP and print the HP. So 4 commits are required, right? We are going this slow because I want that by the end of this course you should be confident in Git. When you write in your resume that you know Git, it puts a very good impression on the interviewer, right? So this is the new logic. So basically you have to define 4 more functions, right? And for testing cases, I would encourage you to add your own, but I have just added for GP. So let's say if the GP is 2, 3, and 5, A being the first number, R is the common ratio, and N being the number of terms, I am calling the function print GP, right? And as a test case, you see I have added a list within a list because the GP will give me 5 terms, right? So for that, that provides you as a single list of 5 terms, right? So basically you can just replace all the test cases if you have added your own test cases. So be very sure about, you know, editing your own file. But let us first make a mistake and then we will see how can Git help us to recover from the mistake, right? So in tutorial 1, if you see, okay, let me open my tutorial 1, which was, this was the skeleton file. So this was my tutorial, right? CS384, my employee ID 308. And if you see, my tutorial had the multiplication logic and division logic already implemented, right? But if you see my skeleton file had only the addition and subtraction logic. It did not have the multiplication logic and division logic. And of course, we have 4 more functions, right? Ideally, what you all should do is open the skeleton, right? Copy this part and paste in your tutorial part, right? So how do you do that using Git, right? So first of all, I'm in the skeleton part. So let me commit my skeleton part. Oh, sorry. First, I will add, then I will do a commit. I will say -m, added 4 new functions for the CS384, sorry, class. My God, so many mistakes. Right, 2 files change and I'm doing a git push. Fine. I can do a git log. So git log will basically show me, okay, added 4 new functions for the class. Another good method for writing this is git log double hyphen one line. So this gives me a very nice output based on one line, right? Now let us go in your folder. Okay, CS384 and my employee ID is 308, right? As I said, always a good practice to git pull first, right? So everything is up to date, my repository is up to date, right? Now basically what you want, let's say you go in the assignment one folder and your tutorial program basically has all this function implemented. Just imagine, for like in your hurry or in your habit of having copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, let's say you overwrite both the files with my skeleton files. So basically what will happen is, right, let's say cp, I go in my skeleton, I go in the assignment folder, I copy all the file and I paste it here, right? Now let us see what happens, right? So if I see my files, so basically the logic for multiplication and division are gone, right? Why? Because basically I directly overwrited my files in the skeleton, which should not have been the case. Now what will you do, right? So for this, Git provides a very easy command, right? So if you see Git status, right? Git status will show that, okay, in the CS384 folder, let me bring it here. In the 308 folder, you modified two files, obviously because you have overwritten it. Now what happens? See, the changes has been local changes, right? So what you can do, Git has a command called Git Stash, right? Git Stash, what it will do? So basically you had your original code, which was there on the Git repository also. Accidentally you modified the local copy without actually pushing it. So in such cases, you can do Git Stash. So let me just type the command. Let's say I say Git Stash and I will say, okay, let me just once again show you using cat command, git tutorial 01, right? So you see your multiplication logic basically got overwritten, division logic got overwritten, and you did not have all this in your code, right? Now what we will do, we will do a git stash, overwritten by mistake, right? So what it says, saved working directory and index state on master, overwritten by mistake, right? So you can say git stash and list. See, it will have this list, git stash overwritten by mistake. This stash basically will not show to you because I had done a stash once more, right? So you will basically see this kind of thing. What does this is, for example, I had overwritten my files, right, accidentally. So now stash, what it will do, it will restore your last commit and have a copy of this overwritten files in this particular thing, right? So let us see again cat tutorial 01. Now you can see you have your multiplication logic restored, you have your division logic restored, but you did not have the new definitions which I want you to implement, and which is exactly basically restoring my code to the original self, right? So what what now so what should now you do ideally is, like, for example, you have the skeleton directory, right? So let us go to the skeleton directory, right? You can do a git pull, right? Now you will ask, sir, why don't we do a git clone? So git clone will clone the entire repository. Actually, once again, you can still do that, but it's of no use. So for example, if you have a 500 MB directory and you made only 1 MB changes, so git pull will only download the 1 MB change, but git clone will actually clone the entire 500 MB, right? So git clone is done, right? Now I'm in skeleton folder. You can see your skeleton folder, assignment 1, right? So what you can do, you can go in the tutorial file, open with your default editor, copy from here to here, copy from this line to this line, power, GP, AP and HP, close this, right? Now go to your respective folder. See, I am on an Ubuntu server and hence I am doing this. You can directly do this by GUI in your Windows or Linux. CS384, you go into your roll number folder, assignment 1. So I am opening the tutorial 1, right, which was my 4 implemented function. And now I have copied the 4 functions that I need to implement. Of course, you also need to implement it. Remember, when you implement these 4 functions, don't use any inbuilt functions and commit 4 times. For every function it is working well, commit. Every function it is working well, commit, right? So now what I will do is, like, I will do a git commit. Sorry, first I will do a git add. So on a lighter note, if you remember CID, the CL that was so famous, right? You remember the ACP Pradyumna, right? So Git works in ACP mode only. First you add, then you commit, and then you push, right? So you can remember ACP. So first I do a git add, right? Then you can do a git commit. Just copy pasted the raw definitions, right? Remember definition is nation, not nation. Okay, and then you can do a git push, right? So basically now the changes have been pushed. I can do a git log hyphen one line. So it says just pasted the raw definition. Now from your side, I want 4 more commits, each one for every functions. Fine enough? So this should be done, and this is how you will learn basically how can Git help you maintain versionings of your program. Right? That's it for this tutorial. Have a good